When we think of surviving freezing winters today, it's easy to picture high-tech sleeping bags, synthetic insulated jackets or fancy tents. But survival in true extremes rarely relied on comfort. It relied on understanding cold, conserving heat, and improvising with what was on hand. During the Second World War, soldiers in Europe and the mountainous theatres of combat faced nights where temperatures could plunge far below what a standard wool blanket or modern sleeping bag could handle. In these conditions, failure wasn't just uncomfortable, it was fatal. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button. Share this video with a friend who loves history. Leave a comment with your thoughts and subscribe to The Hard Past for more deeply researched, practical survival lessons from the past. These aren't stories to entertain, they are strategies that saved lives. Sleeping bags today are marvels of technology. They are light, compact and warm, but only under ideal conditions. They rely on lofted insulation, dry conditions, and a ground pad to function properly. In the field during the Second World War, none of this was guaranteed. Wool blankets became soaked in snow or rain, losing heat faster than they could provide it. Down bags collapsed when wet, losing nearly all their insulating power. Soldiers slept directly on frozen earth in trenches, forests drenched with melting snow, or muddy fields, often carrying only what they could move quickly during advances or retreats. The bitter truth, learned over countless nights, was simple. Blocking wind and trapping heat mattered more than piling on insulation. A small breeze could steal warmth faster than any amount of wool or down could replace it. Comfort was a secondary concern. Survival depended on physics applied with discipline. The solution wasn't a store-bought item. It was, in fact, an improvisation that soldiers built from their issued gear: shelter halves, ponchos, or pieces of canvas called zeltbahns. Two men would connect their shelter halves into a cylindrical tube, crawl inside fully dressed, and seal the ends with whatever was available: packs, snow, or even just some spare clothing. The goal was brutally simple: create a dead-air space where body heat stayed trapped, wind stayed out, and cold stayed away. German mountain troops refined this system with the Zeltbahn, a triangular canvas piece that could form long tubes. American mountain divisions in Italy and the Vosges Mountains used pup tents in a similar configuration. Soviet troops often partially buried their tubes in snow to stabilize the interior temperature. The result was a crude but honestly remarkably effective solution. Inside temperatures often rose above freezing, even when the outside dropped far below zero. The shelter tube worked because it addressed all three major enemies of cold wind, conduction, and evaporation. Sleeping bags could only address conduction, the loss of heat through contact with cold surfaces. The tube added wind protection and trapped moisture, allowing soldiers to stay alive, mobile, and ready for combat at dawn. Condensation was unavoidable, but it collected on the inner fabric rather than soaking clothing or insulation, and soldiers adapted by airing it during the day. The shelter tube also scaled surprisingly well. Two soldiers inside a tube generated more heat than one, and in extreme conditions, three could share a single tube. Heat production increased faster than heat loss, a principle that, honestly, modern survival manuals often overlook. Efficiency in extreme cold wasn't about individual comfort, it was about cooperation, discipline, and minimizing wasted air. Soldiers slept fully clothed, boots on, often with their gear inside the tube. Exposed boots froze overnight, making early morning movement difficult and really quite dangerous. Accepting minor discomfort was essential. The shelter tube forced restraint. No sprawling, no unnecessary movement, no wasted energy. The only goal was survival until morning. The principles behind the shelter tube are timeless. You don't need authentic Second World War canvas to recreate it. Any tarp, poncho or heavy fabric can work if you focus on the shape. A flat sheet offers little protection, but a cylindrical tube traps heat. Sealing the ends with snow, dirt or gear creates the dead airspace that makes the difference between hypothermia and life. Lying on insulating material, boughs, jackets or folded clothing reduces heat loss to the ground. Boots and hats stay on. If you have a companion, sharing the tube multiplies warmth. Alone, minimizing internal volume conserves heat. Every empty space is heat lost. Modern recreational camping often emphasizes comfort over discipline, but extreme cold teaches otherwise. Efficiency is rarely glamorous. It's awkward, it's crude, and it demands focus, but history proves it works. Soldiers survived not because of better gear, but because they understood the raw science of heat retention, human physiology, and practical improvisation. Studying the shelter tube and other field improvisations reminds us that survival isn't about buying more, bigger or fancier equipment. It's about understanding systems, working with physics and applying discipline under stress. The Second World War was brutal, but it left behind invaluable lessons. When the cold won't forgive mistakes, knowledge and adaptability are more powerful than any modern sleeping bag. So, if this deep dive into historical survival resonates with you, don't just stop here. Subscribe to The Hard Past for more insights that bring history to life. Share this video with someone who still thinks survival is about gear over understanding. And leave a comment with your thoughts or experiences. History isn't just stories on paper. It's a guide for staying alive when the world is at its harshest.